Hi, everyone. I know you're probably like, wait, why doesn't she ever tell us when she's going to go live? And I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, I will get a schedule soon enough. But I just wanted to share with you guys this weekend sessions because they have been so mind blowing. I mean, gosh, I don't know about you guys, but has things been chaotic for a lot of people? It's been chaotic for my clients and me as well. I don't know about you guys, but have you noticed that electronics are all funky these days? Well, that's been an issue for a lot of people. And people just feel like it's almost like everything that is being forced upon them. Like they're forced to learn their lessons, they're forced to figure out these relationships that they're in. And it's really such an interesting time. Um, just want to make sure, okay, not really good with electronics myself. So I just want to make sure I was doing this right. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about this week in sessions and just how interesting it's been. So I had one client who, in his past life, he realized that he really wanted to have the last life he lived as his last life. And I thought what was so interesting to me was that he wanted it to be his last life. He thought he had done all the things and that he was going to stay on the spirit side, which he loved the spirit side. It was amazing, how beautiful. But he was called back. And so I was like, why were you called back? Why did you have to come back to earth and live another incarnation? And what he said was so interesting. He said that he was pulled back by his relatives, and I was wondering, like, why were you pulled back by your relatives? And he said, because of karma. And he said, karma pulled him back, and he had to complete lessons and he had to work things out with his relatives. And so it's interesting when we think, when we think to ourselves, like, have I really worked these lessons out with these relatives? It was and other people. And it was interesting because I asked his higher self, well, what exactly did he need to do? And what does he need to do in this lifetime to make sure he really completes all these karmic cycles? And they said that he really had to forgive himself, which was like the biggest thing he had to do. I mean, yes, he had to forgive them, but he had to really forgive himself, and he had to release it completely to the point where he no longer felt like triggered by it and he no longer felt upset about it, and mostly forgave himself for his role in it. And it's interesting, when I guess when we have conflict, that so oftentimes we blame ourselves in the conflict. So that was client one this week. Okay, my next client was really interesting. So in her past life, she realized that she died as a baby. So she was only basically 5 years old, and she died from an illness, but she was living only with her father. And her father was so sad, to lose her in that lifetime because she was only 5 years old. And it was interesting from the spirit perspective how much she wanted him to understand that it was her time to go, that she had planned for her to only live till 5 with him, and that was to teach him and her different lessons. And what was fascinating to me is as she was leaving her body, like before she left her body, she was really upset about leaving. So she was a child. She really didn't want to leave her father. She was so upset that it was hard for her to transition a little bit. So she comes out of her body, and then as soon as she comes out of her body, she's flooded with relief, which a lot of my clients talk about. So she was completely flooded with relief, and she she realized why she had chosen to leave her life early, and then her focus was on trying to get her father's attention. And so how she described it was that on the spirit side, you are there, basically, like you can be with your relatives, and you're very much there. You just are, not in the physical body. And she said it was really frustrating to her to like try to get his attention, to like let him know that she was there, and he didn't know she was there. And that was frustrating. So she's, this soul would say she kept communicating with him in his dreams, and that was the best way to communicate with him. But also, what I found interesting is that from the spirit side, she was able to do something. So she was able to actually send him love with intention, and he would feel it. And so all of a sudden, and I don't know if you guys have any relatives on the other side, but all of a sudden, he would feel this like feeling of love, and he would think about her and think happy thoughts. So she was trying to shift like his perspective. Later in life, he started to shift his perspective and started to see the bigger picture. And she kept telling him in her dreams that she will see him again. She will see him again, and to not worry, she's fine on the other side. And she was actually very happy on the other side. Um, she did a lot of different things. She also talked about the classes that she was doing, and it was really just such an interesting perspective. And one thing I thought that was really interesting was she realized that she chose to be only 5 when she left that life because she wanted to help other people transition, because she knew it was hard for her transition. It was hard for her transition because she felt so attached to the people in her lives, and she was going to be assigned to these other people to help them. So it was really fascinating, Okay, so that was client 2. So then client 3, I had this another client. So actually, she was a repeat client. And what was so amazing about this client was I didn't even know, because I'm sure like other QHHT practitioners or practitioners that doing healing work, you don't always know about your client stories after they leave your office. So I didn't know, but I guess she had the beginning stages of probably breast cancer when she came to me. I think it was a couple years ago, and that healed after her session. Also, her last session, she healed her thyroid and some blood clotting issue. But what was amazing to me was in her session, the biggest lesson that the higher self was telling her, and oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful, was that she needed to see everything in her life would change if she learned to love herself. Every single thing, down to like her kids would heal, her kids, everything would be better if she learned how to love herself. And her higher self was showing her that she learned all these negative things, like we all do, about ourselves. But one thing that we do as humans is we see ourselves only from the perspective of what other people see us. So we only see ourselves that way. A lot of us, we just learn throughout our whole lives, like the perspective of what other people think about us. And the higher self was saying, that's not how we're supposed to see ourselves. We're supposed to investigate and really get curious about who we are and see ourselves as who we really are. And so the higher self showed her a picture of who she really was, and she started crying because it's pure perfection. And that's who we all are. We're pure perfection. And if we could see ourselves as the pure perfection, we would have so many less problems. So, okay, she also had other issues, and we went about finding out the root cause. And the root cause was her not loving herself, or, the root cause was her, believing other things that people said about her, or holding on. So, um, um, client 1 was holding on to a lot of baggage about fear, and so was client 3. A lot of it is fear that we hold on to. And one of the profound things that the higher self was reminding me and my clients was that we need to understand that everybody has a life path, and we ourselves have one, and to release it, like surrender. Like we feel like we need to be in control. Like we feel like we're programmed, I guess, to think we can control our lives. Like we can shift the perspective this way or that way, and we have all this control. And that's not really helping anybody. It doesn't help us. So if we can release the control and surrender, like the saying in AA, let go and let God, that's essentially what we're supposed to do. Yeah, I have a lot of experience with AA. Been sober for 13 years now. I'm very excited. um, but yeah, the low, wow, thyroid and breast cancer. Yeah. Oh, well, there's a lot of people that do this work. It's not just me, and there's a lot of people that are developing new skills and developing like ways of healing people with energy and things like that. There's so many beautiful new modalities. And oh yeah, write a book about the power of healing. Well, it's always amazing. You can become a practitioner. I actually have a discount code, and it's trust. If you go to QHHT official and you type in the code trust, you can save 10%. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. What a beautiful community we have, right? So, um, but I thought it was really fascinating when all my clients were looking into how they could help how they could help their kids. A lot of them were wondering about their kids. How can they help their kids? And it's isn't it always the case where the higher self says work on yourself, that your kids will change when you work on yourself. And gosh, that is so hard but so true. It's amazing what happens when we work on ourselves. And it's amazing, even for my client, client three, how like her higher self said that every single thing in her life will change if she just loved herself. So what they wanted her to do was to say different things about why she is lovable. Like they wanted her to start that practice. And so I asked, well, okay, if she does this, what will she notice? And they said she'll notice right away. Everyone will be affected by this right away. Her whole life will change right away. So to implement that practice, do it twice a day, they said, and it'll have profound shifts within her. And I thought that was like so beautiful. So, okay, another thing they were talking about was one of my clients this week was having a lot of issues with menopause and with uh, changing. Her hormones were all out of whack, and again, it's interesting the messages behind that, because like the higher self has said to me many times is that if you notice with women going through menopause, every woman will experience different symptom. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, where it's not all unanimous, like one woman experiences this, another woman experiences something different, that everyone experiences different things, and how it's their messages. So they're very unique messages. The higher self likes to say that women are lucky, but I don't really want to go through this after like what my clients say. But the higher self said that it's really amazing for a woman to go through menopause. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that. I know it's going to happen to me, obviously, but just still. But the higher self keeps saying it's like a blessing. So essentially, what they say is like going through a change like this means that a woman can be propelled into their divine essence, a sense is what they say. It's like a woman is super like a superpower being. It's we all are, but it's one of the reasons why women especially have been so suppressed. I mean, the divine feminine has been so crumbled, and there's a reason for that. It's just like the indigenous cultures, because there's so much knowledge that has been suppressed. And so one of the gifts, they say gifts. I have to laugh because I like to fight with them about that word. But gifts that women have is to go through menopause, because then they get to really awaken and embody their divine essence, because they're almost forced into it, and apparently that's how we humans like to grow, is through, force, where you just have to make these changes. So, okay, I thought this was interesting. So that client also wanted to lose weight, and she had a lot of weight in her abdomen, which other clients have said is usually caused when a woman has a lot of excess weight all of a sudden in her belly, during menopause, after, or even before. What they've said before was that that's because that's the creative center and that it's symbolic. So it's a message if you start gaining weight there, usually because you're supposed to create something new. So normally that creative center would be used by a woman for having children, but now it's free, so you can create something. And when you don't use that power, because women are so powerful, when you don't use that power, it gets stagnant, and then you start to put on weight as like a message. So to use that creative power, and I've asked many times, like, if they do what they are supposed to create and they create these things, would they lose weight? And the higher self says yes. It's as simple as that for many people. But this woman had excess weight. So there's a different example. This woman had excess weight after menopause because of the fear she was holding onto around her uterus, because she was afraid for her children. So I thought that was interesting because the higher self this week has been talking a lot about releasing fear and how profound that is. And so, of course, I asked, like, how do you release the fear? Because that's not always easy, to release fear that you don't even realize that you have, and all this anxiety. And they said to constantly start to like reframe things, reprogram your mind, and tell yourself, that everything works out the way it's supposed to, that everyone has their own lessons, just to have faith and to trust. And when you like start to cultivate the belief and faith and trust, that this would release that weight, they said. So they said it would be amazing for my client to just do these things. So let me see if there's any more updates. Um, there's a lot happening in the cosmos. Extraterrestrial news. Okay. A lot of people are being contacted by extraterrestrials. So, one thing that I started seeing in my client sessions this week is that a lot of people just, I mean, even though there's a lot of people talking about this stuff, a lot of people feel very much alone with the stuff that's happening to them. Because I don't know about you guys in the chat, but a lot of people are having more contact experiences, not only contact with extraterrestrials, but contact with their higher self, or their abilities are starting to show. And so the higher self was saying it's great to like really connect with like-minded people, but in person, if you have a place where you can do that, because connecting with like-minded people in person can really help you not only develop your abilities, but really feel so good about everything happening. And is there a prayer that you can do to connect with extraterrestrials? Well, I think any prayer that you want to do or that you feel intuitively called to do, but one thing that's always beneficial is to ask for, benevolent extraterrestrials, of course, is always like something that a lot of people feel is very helpful. But if you want to connect with extraterrestrials and feel like you are not, and you want to connect with them in your conscious day to day life, there's one thing that you can do, and that's looking at some of the sacred geometry symbols. Like, you can look at the flower of life symbol. It's what they used to do in ancient Lemuria. And actually, what they would do in ancient Lemuria is they would stare at the symbol, and it's like a key that's coded that goes into a lock. And it's really one way that you can access these other dimensions, because when people see other dimensions, they see the dimensions as like it's called a schematic. They see the flower of life symbol there. So you can do this yourself, but most of the contact happens right before you wake up or right as you fall asleep, that you can remember. And it's just because your vibration is higher, and also because you're more relaxed and it won't scare you. A lot of the contact, believe it or not, you don't remember. And we all think we want that conscious contact, but sometimes it doesn't always feel so good. So for most of my clients, it feels like they're put in an ice bath because their adrenaline rush in their body happens that makes them kind of feel numb all over. And it's sometimes uncomfortable to be around a being of such a different dimension. Um, but again, they were saying, try to meet like minded people and not feel like you're crazy because you're not crazy. There's a lot of people that are having these experiences. There are a lot of people that are seeing fairies. There are a lot of people that are starting to develop their abilities, and there's a lot happening right now. It's really, really exciting. Um, and I'm trying to read your comments, but there are level three practitioners all over the world, but don't disregard other levels too, because sometimes there's just the most amazing level one practitioner, and there's interns that actually do sessions for free because they're trying to get all their sessions. And there's so many healers out there that are just feeling intuitively called to certain things, and it's really, and it as chaotic as it is, it's really an exciting time to be alive, even though it can feel really, really hard, especially right now. I don't know about you guys. It can be really, really hard. Um, but I just wanted to jump on here, give you a quick update. And I also wanted to tell you that I finally just developed a class. I developed, oh, cool, level 2 interning. So you check her out, Melissa. um, oh, hi, Melissa. Check Melissa out. She is such a fantastic, amazing person, too. When you're in her presence, she's so wonderful and magical, and you can't go wrong with Melissa Moreno. So, um, check her out. She's in New York Metro. Ooh, cool. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to say, and if you're a practitioner or you have something to offer, please put it in, not only in the chat, but maybe after this is over so that your messages stay up. So comment on this post afterwards for anybody looking for sessions, or, looking for other people that do healing work, because, let's use whatever we can and network and help one another, because isn't that why we're all here? But I wanted to say that I developed a class, and it's a self-healing hypnosis class. And I did that so that people who couldn't come see me could have a very affordable way to access a lot of this material. And basically, I'm giving people tools so that they can to feel like more empowered and have more control over their life. And that's going to be on my website. I'll put a link, but I have two classes. I have one for weight loss because that's something that I struggled with in my life. And so I have that class available. And also, I have the self healing hypnosis class. And thank you. I cannot wait for my next book to be out. It is so profoundly powerful that it's taking a long time to edit, because I think if you've watched any of my videos, my mom is my editor. And after she was on chapter 4, she started seeing light beings. So this is a very activating, powerful book. Hopefully it's done in the next couple months. But there's so much material to go through. It's really amazing. Oh, that class, my healing classes and my weight loss class are online. They're on my website under classes. So I hope you'll come with me on the journey and access these classes. And really, the purpose of it is to take back control over your life. But I love you guys, and I wish you the best solstice, because that is on the horizon. And I wish you all the best. Yes, I have another book coming out. It's not out yet. I have my 3 books, and I'm working on my 4th, and hopefully it's almost done. It's just a lot of material, but I'm really excited for you guys to have that, because it's really powerful, and I'm excited to see all the activations that come from that. So anyway, much love to all of you guys, and I look forward to talking with you again. And now I have to figure out how to edit this. man. Oh, okay.